Dumelang absheni ralocha sanwanani mulweni. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now, as an African, it's moments like these that fill me up with immense pride. The military authorities in Niger have recently made a bold move, which is taking control of Orano's uranium mining operations, which is a significant step in the country's long-standing efforts to reclaim its sovereignty over its natural resources. Now, let's pause for a moment and reflect on what this means, and not just for Niger, but for Africa as a whole. Now, in the wake of the coup last year, Niger's military government has set out to overhaul the rules governing the extraction of the country's vast mineral wealth. And this move against Orano, which is a French nuclear giant, is part of a broader effort to take control of Niger's resources. Now, uranium, which is the raw material that fuels nuclear power, is critical in the global energy landscape, and Nigeria is actually one of the world's top producers of this valuable resource. But this is more than just about uranium. I believe this is about Africa taking back its power. I mean, for decades, African nations, including Niger, have seen their resources extracted by foreign companies with little benefit filtering down to the local populations. Now, I mean, the way foreign companies have been awarded mining permits has been actually deeply problematic. And here, Niger's military rulers are saying enough is enough. Now, for better context, right, before the coup, France, through companies like Orano, had been extracting Niger's uranium, relying on the country for 15 to 20% of its uranium imports. But despite this, Nigeria's people saw very little of the wealth generated from their own land. And I cannot help but feel a sense of justice as Nigeria now takes steps to recapture what is rightfully theirs. I mean, for me, as a South African, this move resonates deeply. I mean, Africa has long been at the mercy of former colonial powers and foreign interests, many of which still operate in our countries today, extracting resources, influencing governments, and sometimes leaving us with little to show for it. But Nigeria's decision to take control of its uranium deposits sends a clear message to the world that Africa is no longer willing to be a passive player in the exploitation of its resources. And the relationship between Niger and France has soured significantly since the coup. And in fact, France has been increasingly sidelined as Niger's military leadership has made it clear that it will no longer allow foreign companies to exploit its natural resources without fair compensation. And as Niger's Minister of Mines pointed out, how can Niger continue to allow French companies to extract its resources when the French government refuses to recognize Niger's sovereignty? I mean, this is about Africa asserting its autonomy and actually breaking free from the chains of colonial exploitation. And the decision to expel French troops and reject French companies is an indication that Nigeria wants to build a future independent of the influence of its former colonizer. And this move, I believe, is also a reminder that the future of Africa is in the hands of Africans. And this is not just about a single country or a single resource. This is about Africa rising, about African nations taking charge of their own future, and ensuring that the wealth of the continent benefits its people and not foreign powers. What are your thoughts on this? Please, let's continue the conversation in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till